Good morning. To me, that's one of the best views of the skyline of Honolulu. I used to live in this neighborhood, and that used to be the view from our one-bedroom apartment. At night, it's really pretty. Lot of cool high-rises. But yeah, we're in Makiki, making our way past the University of Hawaii here to the right. Looks like traffic's backing up. Headed to Vineyard Avenue to get off the freeway and then make our way down to the International Shipping Terminal. We just picked up an empty 20-foot container from a residential neighborhood in Aina Haina. It's a guy that runs a small water sports business out of his house. Brings in containers every so often. So it's 9:49. Not sure why we have traffic other than we seem to always have traffic in Hawaii. Rush hours should be over. I don't know, maybe there's an accident. So yeah, we started at 5:30 and our first delivery was to the tower crane off here to the left of us. We took a load of glass down to some installers, dropped that off, and then ran back and picked up a load of tile and took that to a tile distributor and stood by and offloaded. Then we took the empty over to a plumbing distributor and they loaded the container. At which point we took the container into the shipping terminal to send it back to the mainland. And at that point we picked up a load of frozen food, took that over to a food distributor, put it on the dock, and then they said, oh, go get that empty out there in Aina Haina. So, I don't know how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That makes this our 6th movement of the day. And it's not even 10 o'clock. So every time I go out to Aina Haina and pick the container up, there's a house right next to his house that's abandoned. And it's been abandoned for years. And I'm always surprised when I go back there, it's still abandoned. And an average home in the neighborhood, Aina Haina, is like $1.5 million. So that home is, if it was just average, would be $1.5 million, worth $1.5 million. But it's abandoned, so it's all run down. There's all kinds of garbage in the yard. Got me talking about real estate. I guess his son is in Boston. I said, oh, I just came back from Boston, not Boston, but we went to Rhode Island, to Newport. He said, oh, what's that like? I said, oh, it's a lot like Waikiki, only it's 200 years older. He says, really? I said, yeah, nothing but tourists everywhere you look. And I told him a story about how Newport, Rhode Island, and Hawaii, that area of the United States and Hawaii, they share a lot in common because that's where the Protestant missionaries came from. They came to Hawaii back in the 1800s, out of that Boston, Rhode Island area. And now today, both Rhode Island, at least where we were, and Hawaii, they have kind of the same feel as far as tourism. It's just, there's so many tourists. And while we were there, we went around with a realtor just to look at properties, just because that's what we enjoy doing, my wife being a realtor and all. And they were telling us that the population of that Newport area used to be over 40,000 residents in Newport. But over the years, it has dwindled to about 20,000. I said, really? I look, you look around, it doesn't look it. All the stores are full. There's people everywhere. I mean, it seems to be busting at the seams. And they said, oh, no, the residents have moved out, but the short-term rentals have moved in. So in other words, residents move out, tourists move in and take over. And so it's a constant turnover with the tourists from week to week. And I says, that would explain Hawaii a lot too, because Hawaii's residents are leaving, but it doesn't seem like it's gotten any less busy in Hawaii because they're being replaced by short-term renters and tourists, people are just staying for a week. Airbnb type situation. So yeah, that makes sense. So it kind of explains why the population of Hawaii can be growing smaller and smaller, yet it doesn't feel like it. Because now there's all kinds of tourists there. Anyway, we just made the vineyard exit. Take this down to the next light, which will be, is that Punch Bowl? That'll take us down to the waterfront, right next to the International Shipping Terminal, Pier 1. 6th movement of the day. It's been one of those days, I completely forgot I had a camera. It's 4:19, I think we're working on our 10th or 11th movement of the day. We're basically picking up the empty of the first container load I had this morning. So that first load of windows that was delivered to the job site in Mo'iliili to the installers, they just finished emptying it, and I was waiting there so that we could get the empty picked up and off the street. Now we're taking it back to our terminal because shipping terminal is closed half an hour ago. Make our way through downtown Honolulu here during rush hour. It's not too bad here, but it gets a little worse as we progress. Speed humps right here. It's like the highest concentration of homeless in the area. So many have been killed right there at that crosswalk. The soup kitchen's like a block away, that's why. some reason it's where the most have been run over. Missed the light by that much. This is where we make our right. It was a pretty good day. Everything went nice and smooth up until 12 o'clock, and then we had a bunch of heavy cans that we didn't want to bring out until after 2, and then we had a bunch of construction cans that didn't want to be picked up until 2. So things kind of slowed down this afternoon. We just did a few runs as opposed to a lot of runs. Empty. Docks are full though. Those are all fresh cans. Just brought them in about an hour ago. Bring in another 6 empties. 6? No, 4 empties. Get them so tight together that you can't get them out because the tires are wedging you in. This will work. Yeah, we're into that hottest time of year where it's 88 degrees outside. And at nighttime, it doesn't go down that much. It's just, I think it was like 81, 82 degrees last night. That was the low temperature. Without air conditioning, it's hard to get a comfortable night's sleep. I just put an ice pack behind my head and put the fans on. I thought I could find a parking in here, but everybody's spread out, so that. Let's is there enough room? Doesn't look like it is. Nah, that's crazy. I'd be like an inch from either one of them. Alright, let's head to the back on the other side. Just enough so that you can't get a truck in. But it'll work. So let's see what we got here. We came in at 5:30. We'll be out of here by 5. 1, 6, 7, 2, 7. Drove 115 miles. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Jeez, 11, 12. 12 container movements. We're headed home. I made a bunch of food over the last couple of days, so I know we got beans, we got rice, we got big salad, beans, rice, salad. We had fish last night, so we're probably going to have a tofu stir fry tonight with some vegetables and some of the other leftovers. But yeah, all in all, a good day. We'll try to remember the camera tomorrow and get something more interesting, maybe. There's nothing interesting about this job. It's just work. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Aloha.